Hey everybody, welcome back. As I promised, we are checking out the Dynamite bunkers that were used to store dynamite for the Goddard salt mine. There is next to no information on these things anywhere. I've done as much research as I possibly could, and the best thing I could find is it is not publicly documented, but it is like a possibility that there's old dynamite storage on section of the Maitland Trail. and then I scroll down and there's my YouTube channel. A video I did where I showed them. So yeah, let's get into it. There's some pretty cool points and just little things that are really neat about this. So let's get into it. Facts that people do know. In 1866, Samuel Platt, a prospector, was drilling for oil, and oh my gosh, would you believe it? He found salt, and thus began the Goddard salt mine. These dynamite bunkers find no history on them at all. Literally from word of mouth, from running into fellow hikers who hike these trails. I found out that these bunkers were built in 1957. I think that might have been when they were sinking the shafts. So they needed to store the explosives. So what I learned is that they were stored, obviously, powder and cap separately. So the powder, the most explosive thing, were stored in these concrete bunkers. As you can see, this one's been pried open over the years. I remember when I was a kid, probably 2004, this door was still shut and just the bottom was peeled up. And yeah, there was a good 5-6 years, maybe 7 years I wasn't here, and come back, and yeah, she's open now. But I'll get the old flashlight out for you. And this is where they would have stored the powder in these bunkers here. I actually camped in this thing in one of my videos. I'll link that in the description. It's pretty entertaining. But yeah, they stored their powder in the concrete bunkers, and from what I understand, the caps over in the cinder block ones. Another interesting fact is there are big berms built up around all these bunkers. Probably in some of the other shots, there's berms around all the bunkers in case of an explosion. As you can see, concrete piers. There was a loading dock and a roof over top where they would take the powder and the caps out. And interestingly enough, pretty cool, the fellow that told me this said the driver who drove the truck who got the caps and the powder, they were stored in separate compartments on the truck, and he actually lived in the subdivision that's right nearby, that's pretty cool. And yeah, these operated for, I think it was 57 to 1980, I think is what he said. And correct me if I'm wrong if you're watching this, please, or if you happen to know. Yeah, and then they were shut down, decommissioned. They tore the porches out, or the loading docks and the porch tops off and all that. But a cool thing about the berms, I didn't think of this until today. Yes, there's berms around all of them at the back, but I didn't even think there is one massive berm between here and the road. Yeah, the ground is built upward towards the road in a pretty big slope. So that actually is a berm over there as well. This is kind of, yeah, you can see it there. I kind of traced out where the berms are. Berms in case of explosion on the property. And obviously those ones down here are where the bunkers are. And they have the big berm along the roadway. And that was in case, obviously, the caps and the powder met and went kaboom. Don't you know? So, it's a pretty cool little spot. There's a lot of history. And it's pretty cool seeing the difference in the place from now to when I was a kid. Way overgrown. And there's one more cool fact, if you know where to look to find this place. There's a Geo Cash. I found it when I was a kid, and I always forget and then remember, forget and then remember. And here's the Geo Cash. It is right by these two bunkers, the ones that are in the best shape. Geo Cash. Do you want to see what's in it? I know you do. Let's see. Not a whole lot. I don't think people are geocaching much anymore. Yeah, there used to be stuff in there, and over the years it's been picked through, and I guess geocaching's kind of phasing out. But back on topic, here's a shot of the berm behind these two. So that's basically just to contain an explosion if there was one, which is pretty cool to think about. And these are the ones that stored the caps. The roofs have since collapsed. And there ain't much left. There's even wooden floors in these ones. We'll do a little walk around. Yeah, there's some pretty cool history here. I just love it, you know. You never know what you're gonna find. You can see the berm is a lot lower around these ones that have the caps in them. A lot less of an explosion risk over here. These are just made of cinder blocks, which clearly would not contain an explosion, so there would be no powder in between these. Old east trough laying on the ground there. The old overhangs collapsed. That was last winter when it broke off and fell. She'll come crashing down. You know, watch out for nails and other unpleasant things. Hang on, I'm just trying to put my frickin' flashlight away. What's in here? Nothing. You can see no roof anymore. The door's fallen off. A lot of damage. And over there on that door is something funny. Someone's painted an old bongulator on there, don't you know? There's the old pictograph of the old Bong Master 5000 on the door. I reckon that's probably 10,000 years old. Guaranteed. Don't you know? Oh man. Pretty cool. Love exploring these abandoned places. They are getting, in this area, they're pretty hard to come by. Everything's private property, and if there is abandoned stuff, it's really hard to check it out. This is one of these places you can actually do that. It is owned by Compass Minerals, actually. Talking to one of the representatives from the Maitland Trail Association. This is in fact owned by Compass Minerals, a company that owns the salt mine in Goddard. And yeah, and there's no worries about this trail closing. I guess they had a representative come out and hike the trail a few years ago, and she was a hiker and she loved it. She's like, this is awesome. I love how this property is being used. No worries here. So good news there, everybody. But yeah, that's the Dynamite bunkers. the elusive dynamite bunkers that there is absolutely no public documentation on, unless there is and I haven't stumbled across it yet. If you know more information about these, let me know in the comments. I love history, love learning new things. Even in my camping videos, you got tips, you got stuff like that. You know, let me know. I love learning. Thanks for coming along in this little adventure. Sorry we're not camping. Bummed my knee up. But the old knee brace is doing its job, so we'll be back at her in no time. But yeah, thanks for coming along. And we'll see you next time. Don't you know?